This one I actually do know what it's about. Shocking. It is following a character who finds out that he is the son of the prince. Okay, maybe I don't know what it's about. Hello and welcome back to my channel, All the Stories. Today I will be doing my end of the year TBR. Instead of filming a TBR for November and then filming another one for December, I decided to just film a TBR video with all the books that I just want to finish before the end of the year. To start off, I have 10 books that I have started this year and I haven't finished. This ranges all the way back to freaking January up until now. So literally I have a book that I started in January that I still haven't finished. I'm trying to finish all 10 of those books before the end of the year. So I'm going to talk about those first. So the book that I started in January that I still haven't finished yet is The Beholder by Anna Bright. I put this down and just never picked it back up. I don't know. I picked this back up in October. I got to page like 130 back in January before I put it down. And I backtracked to page 100 last month when I decided to pick this back up just to remember where I was because it's been 10 months. And so I started on page 100 and I'm now on page 168. I am listening to the audiobook this time. Originally I read it physically and I don't know, I wasn't liking it. So I decided to pick the audiobook up and I think that was the way to go because I'm liking it a lot more now. The book is about a girl who is kind of a princess. She says she's not a princess. She's like the daughter of an influential man and she is sent on this tour around the world to meet these eligible bachelors because she needs to marry and she's supposed to pick one to marry. And that's all on low. So the next book that I need to finish off my Goodreads TBR is one I started in March and that is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. This is a mermaid pirate fantasy. I don't think our main character is a mermaid. It's like a sea fantasy. I don't know. Our main character is the princess and she ends up like failing this test that she needs to pass to become the true princess. And so she has to go on this quest with this pirate. That's all I know. But I started this back in March and on this one I got to page 80. I got to page 81 on this book. This one I'm probably just going to completely start over because I honestly don't remember what happened. So I'm probably just going to have to... I remember bits and pieces, but I'm probably just going to have to start this one over again. I think I'm going to listen to the audiobook for this one as well because it's on Scribd. So there's that. So the next book that I started was one I started in April. That is Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 1 in the Mistborn trilogy. And I actually have already read this. This was a reread because I wanted to reread this because I read this years ago and I never continued on with the series and I wanted to go ahead and read book 2. So I wanted to reread this before I started book 2 so I could remember what happened. And I actually got pretty far in this one. I got to page like 196, but I am going to start this one over as well. Partially because I'm buddy reading this and partially because I kind of don't remember where I was in the book. So I am buddy reading this one with Jocelyn from Jocelyn Reads. So yeah, that should be fun. But I need to go ahead and finish this one so I can go on to the book. I can't remember the title, book 2. But book 2. Another book that I started in April and didn't finish was Thornjack by Catherine Harbour. This one was like... I picked this one up because someone had this in a recommendations video and they said that it was kind of like The Cruel Prince, but they actually like this way better than The Cruel Prince. So I didn't love The Cruel Prince. I thought it was okay. I gave it like 3 stars. But I was like, okay, maybe this one will be for me since The Cruel Prince wasn't really. And I was really confused. I think I got to page 80 in this one too. Yeah, I'm on page 84 in this one. And I think I'm going to have to start this one over again too because I remember none of it. Besides the fact that this girl's sister died and she moves to this like new town because her memories of her dead sister are like everywhere in her old home. So her and her dad moved to this new city and she's in college, so she starts going to this like community college and like meets this guy who may be a fairy. I'm guessing he's a fairy since this is compared to the Cruel Prince, but you know, I never really got that far after she met him. So in May, I was participating in Asian Readathon, and so I started these 3 books all in May. But after May, I decided to read all books by Black authors. In June, after everything had happened, I just felt like reading books by Black authors. So I put all these books down after May and then never picked them up again. So those books are The Bone Witch by Rinka Pecho, of Curses and Kisses by Sonia Menon, and Mirage by Somalia Dodd. I got varying lengths in all of these. I know for The Bone Witch, I got to page 138. And I was actually really enjoying this at the time, and then I put it down and stuff happened and I just never picked it back up. And yeah, I remember most of this, so I'm probably just going to start this one from where I stopped it at, because I'm pretty sure I remember all of what happened in this. But this follows a girl who has like bone magic, and it starts with her accidentally resurrecting her dead brother. So then she's whisked away to get training in this place where witches are trained, and it's like flashing back and forth between like the past and the present, because her getting training is in the past, but in the present something has happened, and I'm still trying to piece together what exactly has happened. But I've heard really good things about this, and I'm excited to see how it ends. I actually didn't get that far in Curses and Kisses by Sonia Minute. I barely even started this one, to be honest with you. I got to page 22, so I got nowhere, and it was just like I started it and I stopped and never picked it back up. But I am excited to read this one because I do like Sonia Menon's books. I like her contemporaries, and this one is kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is one of my favorite Disney movies when I was a child, so I was really excited about this one. So I do plan on picking this back up and hopefully finishing it before the year's over. And then for Mirage, I got pretty far in Mirage, actually. I got over halfway through Mirage. I'm on page 183. Oh, my fingers stopped. Nope. I'm on page 185 of Mirage, and Mirage is actually pretty short. I believe it's like barely 300 pages. Mirage is pretty short. It's only 308 pages, and I'm already on page like 180 something, so I should be able to finish this probably in one sitting. So whenever I decide to pick this up, I will finish it. I do remember most of this one as well, so I am not gonna backtrack at all. It follows our girl who is taken from her home because she bears a striking resemblance to the princess, and the princess's life is in danger from external threats, so they use this girl as her body double, and I was really enjoying it. And the sequel to this came out, I think it's called like A Court of Lions or something, and it came out this year, so hopefully I like this one enough to pick up the sequel. So then in September I started Malice by John Gwain. This is an adult high fantasy story, and I was just I put this down because I was just kind of confused, and I wasn't really like that interested in the characters. I wasn't that involved. I didn't really care that much about where the story was going, but I hear a ton of good things about the series, so maybe I just didn't get far enough into the story, because it is a high fantasy, so it takes a minute for most high fantasies to pick up, and maybe I just didn't get this long enough. I got to page 96 of this, so I am planning on picking this back up and seeing where it goes, because I did hear a lot of good things about it. But it was just really a slow starting book, and I just wasn't in the mood to wait for this book to pick up when I was reading it. The last two books that I started in October, and the first one is Crush by Tracy Wolff. I actually got to page 134 of Crush, and this is the sequel to Crave. I really liked Crave when I read it back in September, so I was really excited to start Crush, but I just started hearing a bunch of negative reviews about Crush, and I had a lot of books that I wanted to read in October, so I put this one down because I had a lot of books that I was reading for book clubs and things, so I put this one down and said I was going to come back to it later, and haven't gotten around to picking it back up yet, but I do plan on reading this. This is a YA vampire story taking place at a boarding school, and it's full of different types of magical creatures: werewolves, dragons, vampires, just a bunch of different witches, fairies, all types of things. So it was right up my alley, but I just never got around to finishing this one. And the last book that I've already started on this list is Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. I actually got pretty far in Legacy of Ash. As you can see, Legacy of Ash is a thick book. It is over 700 pages, but I got to page 302. So this one is one I'm actually currently reading. I'm still actively reading this one, so hopefully this one will be finished in November, hopefully soon. But it is a long book, so I was taking my time reading this, and I was reading other things while I was reading this. So that's it for all the books that I've already started, but I do have a stack of books here that I haven't started yet that I also want to get to before the end of the year. So first I have The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I've heard this is a new release, and I really like this cover. I find this cover really beautiful, and I've heard a lot of good things about this. This follows a girl who finds out that she is in the running to win this random person's inheritance. I think it's 46 $1.2 billion inheritance, and she doesn't even know the person that left her in this will to get this money, but she has to, I believe, compete with his 3 grandsons to see who wins the money. It's not automatically guaranteed to her, and she has to compete with these 3 rich boys, and I heard it was just a good time, so I'm excited to read this one. Next book I want to get to before the end of the year is Storm and Fury by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I actually read my first Jennifer L. Armentrout books in October, and that was From Blood and Ash, and then the sequel to From Blood and Ash, which was Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, and I loved them so much. They were so good, and the 3rd book in that series does not come out until, I want to say, like April of next year, but I needed a fix until the 3rd book came out, so I decided to read the only other Jennifer L. Armentrout book that I owned, and that was Storm and Fury. I honestly know nothing about what this is about, but after reading Jennifer L. Armentrout's other books, I don't care what it's about. I'm gonna read it. So the next book is one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. And I am so excited to have this one. I actually kind of sort of started this one as well. But I only read the prologue, so I didn't really count it as starting. But I am so excited to read this book. It's one of my most anticipated books of the year, and it follows our main character after her mother has just died, and she gets accepted into this like early college program. So she goes off to college, and I want to say she goes to like Chapel Hill in North Carolina, and she ends up discovering the secret society that is made up of the descendants of King Arthur, and they have magical powers and everything, and she finds out that this society may be involved in the death of her mother. So I am so excited to read this. I love seeing Black authors making more books, and then Black characters of color in fantasy. I am so excited, and I've heard really good things about this. So the next book I'm also buddy reading with Jocelyn, and that is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. I adore Christopher Paolini's Aragon series. I loved it. It was one of the series that got me into reading, so I was so excited when Christopher Paolini decided to release another book, and it is a sci-fi. And if you saw my September anticipated releases video, you know I was just like a little excited to read this book. Who will be reading that 900-page sci-fi book? I will. Who doesn't even read sci-fi like that? I don't. But who's about to pick up this 900-page sci-fi book? I am, because I need it. It's done. It's ordered. It's pre-ordered. It should be here on the 15th, and I'm gonna read it. And after all that, I still haven't read the book, but I plan on reading this book soon. Like I said, I'm buddy reading it with someone, so that'll hold me accountable to finishing this book before the end of the year. And all I know about this is that it's a sci-fi. I honestly couldn't tell you what this book is about besides it's a sci-fi. And it's long. It's like 800 pages, and it's pretty heavy. That's all I can tell you about this book. I honestly couldn't tell you anything more, but I believe it's an adult sci-fi. I don't think it's classified as YA. And I am gonna read it. Next is a book that I feel like I've mentioned in multiple TBR videos, multiple videos in general, and I still haven't read, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is her first adult book, and it's also following a secret society in college like Legendborn. And this takes place, I want to say it's Stanford. It does not. It takes place at Yale. And it follows a girl who has the ability, I believe she can talk to ghosts or summon ghosts. And they're like these fun secret societies at Yale. And that's all I know about this. I like not knowing things about books, especially like adult books. Like I feel like adult books are so complex that even the synopsis tells you something, the book is usually about something completely different. So I don't know, besides that it takes place at Yale and they're involving secret societies and paranormal powers. The next book I want to get to before the end of the year is The Queens of Venezuela by Tessa Gratton, and I have no idea what this one's about either. I believe this is a King Lear retelling. However, I've never read King Lear. I've read a lot of Shakespeare's plays. I've never read King Lear, so I'm not sure exactly what King Lear is about, but I'm excited to read this. Again, I cannot tell you what this book's about. It's adult fantasy. King Lear retelling. There's a crown on the cover. And yet another adult fantasy that I want to read before the end of the year is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. This one I actually do know what it's about. Shocking. It is following a character who finds out that he is the son of the prince. Okay, maybe I don't know what it's about. Oh, that's right. He is claimed as the son of a treasonous prince. So he goes to live with the royal family, and he spent his life hearing stories about princes being valiant and fighting dragons and all these storybook tales. But he comes to find out that being an actual prince and living with the royal family is not how the storybooks made it out to be. He ends up finding out that he may not even be the hero, he may be the villain of the story. Like, even the tagline on the back says, "What if you weren't the hero?" So I think he ends up maybe being the villain, and I have been waiting for a story where the main character ends up being the villain and not the hero. So I'm really excited about this, and I can't wait to see if he actually is the villain or if it's going to be one of those things where he's like the villain but he actually ends up being the hero. I wouldn't mind that either, but you know, I love a dark, morally gray character, so I hope that's what this is. Another book I want to get to before the end of the year is Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I read Red Rising back in August. No, I think I read it in no, I read Red Rising back in September, and I really liked it. I gave it 3 stars, I believe, which sounds kind of bad, but I really liked it, and I can't wait to read Golden Sun. And I want to get to this before the end of the year, and hopefully I can also get to Morning Star, but I'm only going to put this one on the list. But if I like this one enough, I probably will just go ahead and go read Morning Star. But Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, book 2 in the Red Rising series. It's following our main character Darrow, who is a red, and reds are like the bottom of the food chain when it comes to social society in this world. And Darrow ends up becoming a gold, which is the highest of the high, and he ends up infiltrating the golds, trying to bring the system down from the inside. And the first book was pretty good, and I can't wait to see where it goes, because after the ending of the first book, I just really want to see what Darrow does next. Another book I want to get to before the end of the year is Red Sun is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is a fantasy story that's inspired by pre-Columbian America, which sounds so interesting. You never see fantasy stories set in South America or pre-Columbian societies, so I really am excited to see where this story goes, and I've heard such amazing reviews about this book. It just came out in October, and I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait to see where it goes. It follows our main character, who I think is destined to be reborn as a god, and it's following him as he is on this, and it's also following a character who is like a pirate captain, who's the captain of the ship, and she kind of takes him aboard and is like taking him to this place he needs to go, and I am super excited. I've heard nothing but good reviews from people whose opinions I trust, so I can't wait to read this one. Another new release that I want to read before the end of the year is The Secret Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I love V.E. Schwab's books. I love the majority of her books. Only one of her series has let me down, and I really enjoyed all her other series, so I can't wait to read this one. And this one just sounds so good. It's about a girl who makes a deal with the devil to live forever, but there is a catch to the deal that she doesn't anticipate, and it's that she may live forever, but everyone she meets is destined to forget her. And I am so excited to read this. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about this one, actually. A lot of people either love it or hate it, so I can't wait to see where I fall on the spectrum. I believe it's going to be more on the love side, but who knows. And the last book on this list that I want to read before the end of the year is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. The sequel to The Dragon Republic, which is The Burning God, is going to be coming out this month in November. So I guess by extension, The Burning God is on this list too, because I wanted to read this before The Burning God comes out. That might not happen because The Burning God comes out like at the beginning of November, I believe, and it's already November 1st today when I'm filming. So probably not going to get to this one before Burning God comes out, but I hope to get to it soon so I can read The Burning God. So that is it for my end of the year TBR. There are a lot of books on this list. There are 21 books on this list, and that's a little ambitious for me considering the fact that I have been reading like 10 books or less most months. So 21 books, and the fact that almost all of these books are like long. Most of these books are 500 pages and above. I mean, I have started like 10 of them, but some of them I didn't really get that far in, so we'll see if I actually finish all of these. But these are the books that I want to focus on for the end of the year. Not saying I'm not going to read other things or that all of these are going to get read, because they probably aren't, but I would like to get all of these read before the end of the year. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!